What is up, guys? Today we are going to be doing a live B-roll demonstration. For any of you that haven't seen me do one of these before on my channel, basically what we're doing is I take you guys for a full behind the scenes look at how we actually capture and create a little B-roll cinematic style video. We're going to be going shot for shot, really explaining to you why we're doing everything that we're doing. I feel like this is by far the best way that you guys can learn how to shoot cool cinematic videos yourself. And then towards the end of the video, I'm going to show you the edits that we managed to put together and what we actually managed to create. Today's video is sponsored by Storyblocks. Storyblocks is an online stock media library with over 1 million assets, and we are going to be speaking about them a little bit more later on in this video. But for right now, let's get this little B-roll section started. To keep this one interesting, this one is going to be a solo B-roll, meaning that I am going to film the entire thing myself, of myself. No one is going to be helping me out. No one can do any moving shots or anything like that, and it makes it really fun, makes it really interesting. And I know a lot of you guys often say you don't have anyone that wants to help you film, and this is a great way for you guys to still be able to get some practice and make some cool cinematic videos all by yourself. A couple of things that we are going to be doing: I'm shooting on my A7 III with my Tamron 28-75. You can use any camera for this, it really doesn't matter. Something I definitely recommend when doing solo B-roll is a tripod or just something to put your camera in, because if you don't have one, you're going to be balancing your camera around on the ground. It's going to be really low. You don't have much option of lifting your camera up and moving it around. This is going to make it much more dynamic and much more easy for you to move your camera around and put it where you want it to be. For our sequence today, we have come out to this beautiful forest. The light is getting really low. The sun's going to set pretty soon. And the idea that we have is we're going to be driving the van. Well, I'm going to be driving the van down this road kind of thing through the forest here. We are going to arrive to our campsite and have a bit of a campfire, bonfire style going. That's going to be the kind of climax, the pinnacle of our video. I always like to have kind of a nice payoff to the end of my videos. It just emphasizes on that little storytelling, and even though it's really simple, just having a bit of a build up to a payoff, to a reward for the viewer for watching through the video is something I always try and keep in mind, even in something like a B-roll section. We're going to get the van driving along here first, and just before I actually set this camera up on this tripod, my first thing that I love to do when shooting solo B-roll and I don't have anyone to help me is to try and just get a few establishing shots, a few little cutaway and detail shots of things that I think are cool going on and around here, because this is the perfect opportunity for me to get some movement in my shots. After that, it's going to be on the tripod. There's pretty much not going to be any other way that I can get any movement in those shots, and I love moving in my shots. It makes them very dynamic. So that's what we're going to do first. Let's start with some establishing shots, looking right into the light. I'm going to leave this tripod right over here for now. We are going to come back to it. First thing we're going to do, let's get a big establishing shot right here, looking straight into the sun. And something that I like to do in the beginning of my videos, I often mention this to you guys, is I like to just move forward a bit. It gives that sense of kind of arriving and bringing that viewer into the video and just pulling them into there a bit. So first thing we're going to do, I think, getting between these trees here, and I'm going to do a nice punch forward. Slow punch forward like this. Keeping it as stable as I can because I don't have any gimbal or anything right now. I'm going to do another one. I want to get one kind of sun flare of the sun just peeking out from behind the trees. So I'm going to zoom in really nicely, get this tree in my foreground. And something I'm going to keep in mind is just that I know I'm going to be driving the van this way. So anything movements wise are going to be going right to left in my video for the most part from here on out. So when I do reveal the sun here, I'm just going to do my camera movement from right to left. Just makes the video nice and fluid, keeps it together, keeps them all going the same way. And I'm going to reveal that sun flare like this. Classic sun flare reveal. Just do another one. That looks awesome. And I think I'm going to get one more kind of big wide shot from down here. That one in between the trees was, it was okay, but I think we can do better. The next establishing shot, I want to incorporate this kind of tree thing here. I think it looks quite cool. Let's just start from here. I'm going to do a right to left movement on this one. We got those awesome light rays coming through the tree. It looks really, really good. I'm going to do one more establishing shot just to be safe. Whenever I have shots that are pretty critical for my video, I have no problem doing a few of them, and just to make sure we got one that's going to work well. This is most likely going to be our opening shot, our very first shot, and I don't want it to be kind of people aren't going to be as interested to stick around if it's not a very good one from the get-go. So let's do another one from right here, and I'm going to do a slow punch forward. And I'm going to do one more of those that has a pan down with a punch forward. And that should be all of the shots that we are going to need handheld, any movement ones. If I see anything kind of cool later on, maybe a nice interesting detail that I want to incorporate, I can use that as a cutaway, and I'll quickly grab my camera off a tripod, just get a little bit of movement into it, and I can put that somewhere later on in the video. For now, let's go grab that tripod and start shooting some shots of the van actually driving down this road. I kind of have like a little idea for how I'm going to intro the van into the scene. I want some of those first establishing shots to be nice and quiet, have some forest sounds, and then maybe you can start hearing engine noise of the van in the background. And then I'm going to set up my camera right here on the floor, and as you can sort of hear that engine noise, the van is going to drive right past close here, just getting a close-up of the wheels, be like quite abrasive, and all of a sudden there's a van here, and then we're going to cut out to a nice big wide shot of the van actually driving through here. So the first one, ironically, is not actually even going to be on the tripod. Like I said, you need the tripod to bring it up off the ground, and what am I doing? Putting it on the ground. But I'm using the tripod to balance it up a little bit. Something that I like to do when I am filming myself, it can sometimes be a little bit difficult to get your exposure because your subject isn't necessarily there. And I find a great trick for this is if you put your hand out in front of your camera and you expose for your hand, making sure that your hand is in the same light. If it's like mottled light like this, make sure your hand isn't in one of the light rays, make sure it's in the shade or whatever your subject is going to be in. Once I've done that and I'm happy with my exposure, I know that it's going to be pretty much the same for wherever my subject is once it arrives in frame. A lot of filming yourself and this whole solo B-roll game has a lot of guesswork to it, so just keep that in mind. The other thing that I'm going to do is just stop down my aperture a little bit because I don't want this to be too shallow. I can't control the focus and I want to make sure that the van is in focus. So I'm going to go to f4.5. That shot looks pretty cool right there. I'm going to drive the van as close as I can to the camera without hitting it. So I'm going to hit record and I'm going to go jump in the van. Let's check if it worked. Something else to note about filming solo is that it's a little more tedious. You have to be patient. You have to be aware that it's gonna take a little bit longer. It's a little bit more difficult. There's no one there to do anything. It could completely miss the shot and you're gonna have to re-watch and just check if everything worked. So just have patience going into it. Expect there to be a little bit of extra time. Now that we've got that little opening shot, I'm gonna set up a nice wide shot to drive the van through, kind of just have this whole setting really showing like where we are, what's going on here. So now I'm going to put the camera on the ever so useful tripod. A lot of you guys ask me what tripod I use. I really don't think it matters for something like this. I don't care about the fluid head or anything. This could be just any old cheapo tripod. This one in particular is a Slick something. I'll put it in the description, but I really don't think it matters, so I wouldn't worry too much. It's looking so nice and golden. I'm gonna quickly drive through. It's hard work filming yourself, man. You gotta do double work. You gotta be the actor and the cameraman. Okay, that one I'm pretty sure worked. Oh, the light is looking so good right now. We are in a typical situation where you wait and wait and wait, and then all of a sudden the light's good and you have to do the entire thing in like 30 minutes and rush. So that's what we're doing right now, but we're off to a killer start and that is looking beautiful. Let's go down here and see if we can get kind of a same style shot, but more looking at the front of the van, a little bit more zoomed in. We can get some of that compression, showing the sun really like shining through those trees. There's some really cool haze and everything happening. So let's head a little bit down here and we can turn the car in and be kind of driving directly away from the sun. Originally, I actually wanted to ride down the road and kind of get up there, but the sun's getting blocked by too many trees over there. You can see here that we're still getting these streaks of light coming right through, and that's what looks the best. So instead of driving down there on the road, we're actually just going to cut right into here, kind of turn in there and drive straight towards the camera. Got to be adaptive, got to change your plans. I think this is going to look much better. So I'm going to come through there. I'm just going to frame out my shot sort of here. I think I can fit through the trees over there. So I'm going to drive as I was. This looks beautiful. And something important that you guys will notice is I'm not switching sides. So I'm not going to go to that side and look this way on the car, because it's going to be traveling in a different direction like I mentioned, and it's not going to really make sense to the viewer. I want to be going the same way the whole time. The other thing that I really like to do when I shoot B-roll is I like to shoot just slightly wider than what I want my end composition to look like. And the reason for that is because there's a really neat trick that you can do when you're editing, where you digitally add in a bit of zoom. You can zoom in and have a nice slow punch forward, or you can have a nice slow punch out. You can even zoom your whole frame in and move it around from left to right and track a little bit. And it makes your shots look much more dynamic and just add some movement into those shots, even though they were shot completely on a tripod. There are a few things that you guys need to be aware of when you're doing this. You're going to lose some quality because you are digitally zooming into that frame. And the other thing is, if you guys are shooting in a much higher resolution, something like 4K, you can have more. But I find it, especially for YouTube, it doesn't really matter. No one's going to notice too much. So I'm going to do that on some of my shots, and you'll see in the final edit that there's some movement in them. I'm going to quickly do this because the sun is disappearing so fast. And I'm going to turn on the van headlights so that as I drive towards the camera, the headlights are like, phew, it's going to look cool. The amount of times I have to get in and out of this van really quickly and reverse it through the trees. I thought I was going to hit a tree just now. That shot looked absolutely beautiful. The next one, I'm going to take this off of the tripod again just to get really nice and low. And I want to get a zoomed in shot looking down here, looking kind of past my wheels and like having a nice close up. I love having big wide shots and then close up and mediums, and you can move between them the whole time, especially if you want to create a little bit more energy in the video. When you don't have any movement in it, it's sometimes difficult to get that energy. Maybe the music goes on like a bit of a crescendo and has more interest to it. You need to have more shots so that you can do more cuts to create that energy instead of the movement. Just going to do a bit of a balancing act here with this tripod and use it in a way that it's definitely not designed to be used. Maybe like this, just so I can lift the camera off the ground a little bit so that I'm not getting all the pine needles. I think that looks pretty cool. I'm going to drive as close to this tripod as I can. Hopefully the focus focuses nicely because it's got a lot of this grass and stuff in the bottom of it. But I think it should work. Okay, I'm pretty sure that one looked cool as well. Now, the next thing that I actually want to do is just have a shot that's going to cut with one of the shots that we had there. I want to get a shot of me actually driving the car from inside the car with that sun behind me. And one of the biggest reasons that I want to do this is not only so that I can use it as a cutaway to make sure that these shots will cut together nicely. The other thing is by filming a human, showing my face, showing me experiencing this rather than just showing the scenario and what's going on, makes it more relatable, makes the viewer a little bit more invested in the actual little story and this little video. So that's the shot that we're going to get right now. I think the way that we're going to do it, I'm going to set up this tripod just kind of balancing here on the seat. You see guys, having this tripod, I could never get these types of shots without this tripod. It's super useful. Gotta be quick if you're gonna get a shot. Oh, that's a tree in the way. This is what we're ending up with. Oh, look at that golden light, dude. Crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna play a bit of a guessing game, and I'm gonna jump around to the other side and use that hand exposure trick, because it's gonna be difficult to expose from there. I don't really know how my face is gonna be looking with that sun right behind me. And the only way I can really do that is by coming around this side. That looks beautiful. With my hand being here, it's a bit silhouette-y, but I also think it's gonna look quite cool. Another thing that I like to do when I'm filming and the sun is behind me is you can even see with this camera, for example, when I wanna know what's going on behind it, if I can see the sun is hitting the lens, I know that the camera is seeing the sun. And if I wanna get the sun flaring out from behind it, I can shadow the lens, and I know that I can like flare it out right there. I know that that can happen because I can see that little shadow on the lens. So that's what I'm gonna try to do from my driver's seat as well. I'm gonna hit record on here. Boom. And that should look really, really nice. Let's try to get a simple shot of that. So right now I can see on my camera that the lens is completely in the sun. I'm gonna actually just back up a little bit because I think it's gonna lose the sun over there. Hopefully not hit any trees. High speed divert. Okay, so now I'm in the shade. So I'm gonna drive through here and I'll see when the sun's hitting that lens, and I'll move in and out of it, and I think it's gonna look beautiful. So let's do it. I'm just gonna check if it worked because that one was kind of tricky. So I wanna make sure that I got it. That's a shot that I really want to include in the final video. Beautiful, some nice little golden light popping out behind there. Not necessarily as much as it could have been. I think it's a little bit low behind the trees, which means that we need to get a move on. I wanna get one more shot of my own perspective looking forward that I can use as the same style shot as the one we just captured. So I'm gonna do that quickly as we drive down here. And then we're gonna start getting to our campfire scene. I'm gonna jump out of the car and we're gonna start like setting up those shots. I think those are gonna look really, really cool. So one more shot here and we're onto the campfire. This lens isn't necessarily wide enough, but I don't wanna change lenses right now. I wanna keep it as simple as possible. I don't wanna be doing multi-lenses and everything. So I'm just gonna try to get it nice and far back like this and just get a shot of my hand there. The sun is disappearing very, very quickly, so I'm gonna roll in this, guys. And I'm just gonna get one shot of my rearview mirror while I'm here because it looks pretty cool. Okay. And that is going to be all I need for that. There is one more shot that I need to get before we transition to the bonfire section, and that is just one more shot of the sun. There's really beautiful sun coming through here right now, and I can see it by these patchy bits, and I want to try and get just one more shot of that sun kind of revealing it so that I can cut with to transition to getting to there. It just shows that kind of like change in light. It will tell a little bit more of that story of me actually like driving to get somewhere and showing the time passing. Beautiful. Okay, fully zoomed in one. Fully zoomed out wide one. Okay, and that is going to be it for all of these shots. We are going to head to the spot where we're going to be making our little campfire, and we're going to get one more shot of the van just arriving there to tie it together really nicely, and then we're going to start lighting the fire and everything like that. It's going to be super cool, and it's going to be really nice with all those flames and everything, so let's get there quickly. The next shot that we're going to be getting is just a kind of shot to stitch the two different scenes together. So this is the little fire pit that we're going to be using to light our fire. We're going to be sitting here and having like this cool like flames and everything. That's going to make quite interesting shots. But the shot I want to get just to tie it together is a shot from behind this, looking that way and just having the van stopping there in the background, me getting out and kind of walking to the fire. I think it just ties it together quite nicely. Will make the overall video just make a little bit more sense. Something that I love doing with my shots, And almost a sure way to make any boring shot look a little bit more interesting is by incorporating foreground. And having this little fireplace thing that we call in South Africa, we call it a braai. We're gonna have that in our foreground, and it's gonna make our shot a little bit more interesting. And it's pretty dark now compared to the last shot we filmed, but I think it's still gonna cut together quite nicely. I'm gonna take this ND filter off. I'm going to use flexible spot S on my Sony camera to make sure that my focus is not going to be on that foreground. That can sometimes ruin your shot. So I'm going to put it up to the van and make sure that it's staying up there. Okay, let's start getting this bonfire actually going and getting the shots of the whole campfire scene. Today's video is sponsored by Storyblocks. Storyblocks is an online stock media library with over 1 million different assets. If you guys are content creators or any sort of other creatives, Storyblocks is a hugely powerful tool that you can absolutely benefit from. Say for example, you might need a epic drone shot for your solo B-roll that you just can't capture yourself. Storyblocks has got your back. I can jump on, find a drone shot of a forest with a sunset in the background just like this, and it will cut together perfectly with my B-roll sequence that I shot today. And when you guys see the final edit, you will notice that I actually did include that shot. Not only do they have stock footage of almost anything you guys could think of, they also have sound effects to really bring that video to life, as well as motion graphics and a bunch of other incredibly useful tools for content creators like you and I. When you sign up for a Storyblocks monthly subscription, you pay one small fee and you get unlimited downloads. If you guys are interested in Storyblocks, I'm going to leave them linked below. They are truly an amazing platform for creators like you and I. I have got this really cool little light, which I am not sure if I'm going to need, but I have it as a backup. It's pretty bright. Might use it as a backup. And the other thing that I've done is just parked the car in the background in a way that the headlights are shining right here to create a bit more light. I'm gonna quickly get this fire going. The first shot that we are actually gonna get is gonna be another kind of POV shot. I like doing POV shots when I'm doing the solo B-roll because it's another way of adding a little bit more movement to your shots. It's kind of one of the only ways to get that extra movement. So what I'm gonna do is just be kind of holding some wood like this. Let me try to get as many in my hand as I can. And I'm just gonna get a shot of me kind of dropping them down into the fire. And that's gonna be a nice cut from the shot of me arriving here. So let's come in like this. And then I'll just get a few more shots of me kind of stacking it here. And I can notice in the shot that side light from the headlights of the car is really helping. I'm going to pause there. I'm going to put this on the tripod right here. Get a nice shot looking right into those headlights. There's still some nice light in the background. I'm going to check this light and just see if it does anything interesting from down here on like its lowest setting. I think it's just going to slightly help fill in these darker shadows. This is kind of a cheaper light, just a little one from Godox, and it's nice because it's battery powered. Hit record, get some more shots that I can cut with of me just putting these logs down like this. Couple of building it, that's great, and then I'm going to cut to a close-up of me actually lighting it. And the close-up I'm going to get is from right here. Zoom in really nicely. Hopefully what's going to happen is I'll get like a nice spark of actually lighting it there. And I'm just going to use this light to slightly fill it in because the side light is quite harsh. I think that's going to be fine. And let's get it lighting. I'm gonna get this fire going a bit and we are gonna change a few shots. We are almost done, guys. We're pretty much done with our scene. A couple of more just to end it off. and we are going to be done. Something I do want to get while we are here is this is another perfect opportunity for me to just get some nice cutaways of the fire, a little bit of movement, some stuff without me in it as the fire is catching like this. I'm just going to set up here, just some nice close-up details and some nice movement. Whenever I can add movement to the shots, I'm looking out for that opportunity because it makes it so much more dynamic. And I get those headlights in the background. That looks beautiful, beautiful. And I think we are at that time where we can actually get our final shot, and that rewarding apex shot, which is gonna be me kind of sitting down next to the fire, like it's done, we got here, we started the fire, we made it, we're relaxing, and that's gonna be our ending shot. And for our ending shots, I often like to do the same thing as our starting shots. We have a nice big wide one that shows the entire scene, and I can even add that digital move that's gonna slowly zoom out to end our video. So let's put this back on the tripod for the last time. There's a beautiful opportunity for me to get some more foreground shooting right through the fire here. And the other thing it does is this fire is actually acting as its own light source that's going to be lighting up my face on the chair there on the other side. So I'm going to set this up here, try to get some of that fire in the foreground, zoom in nicely past it, and have a shot of me in the distance there, just enjoying my campfire. Worked hard to drive through the forest to get here. Let's roll. And I'm just gonna sit here, kind of enjoy my fire. And I also want to get one more cutaway of these flames because it's actually looking a lot nicer now than it was. And something that I can do is kind of just hit the fire and it makes all these like red sparks coming off the top. I want to see if I can get a shot of that. So from here, if I just do this, ooh, that worked amazingly. Do another one of those. And one more. And the other last thing that I'm going to do is chuck this light right here. And one more thing I need to do is get a chair for me to sit in. Now I can also use this chair as a marker for myself, kind of figure out where I'm gonna be. I can see if the exposure is good enough with my little light here. Brighten it up. And I might tilt it up because I don't want it to be shining on the floor too much. And we can check our shot, and it's gonna be our final shot, guys. Super exciting. Let's try to get from here. And something else I'm gonna try to do is just have the headlight, our other light source, being right behind me, because it's gonna almost act as a hair light and just separate me from that background a bit. That is looking very nice, and I'm gonna go ahead and sit down here quick. And I can kind of be like messing with the fire. And that is gonna be our ending shot, guys. That is gonna be all the shots that we need for this B-roll sequence, guys. I put together a little edit with some cool music, slow motion, and other editing effects using some sound effects from Storyblocks, as well as that drone clip that we mentioned. Here is what we were able to capture. Check it out. Boom, guys. That is what we were able to capture. I am super stoked with the shots that we got. I think it's going to be a really nice B-roll section. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you would have done differently. Let me know some interesting things that you guys do when you are filming solo B-roll. Other than that, remember to check out Storyblocks. They are going to be linked down in the description. If you enjoyed this video, hit like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one.